So we're super excited to have even though it's now where am I here? Here's this. Even though it's a short month, it's packed with lots of learning for your children, and we're really excited for that. We also want you to know that we do partner with a lot of community resources for your benefit, and one of them is our partnership with Adams Parks and Rec. So we always try to keep in touch with one another to let you know of what opportunities are happening for your children just right across from our field. So this is Caleb Martin, right, from Parks and Rec. Give him a clap.
Thank you. As you said, I'm the temporary center director over at Adams Rec Center. Just wanted to give you guys a heads up of what we have going on over there. For those of you that don't know, it's open to the public, and there's a huge game room in there, so most of the local kids after school actually come in and play ping pong, pool. We usually have there's a huge TV with a VCR and a DVD player, so we play movies a lot. So that's something you guys can always come do and check out. As far as sporting events coming up, we have our co-ed basketball season that runs from December through March. And boys and girls, we have a Pee-wee age group, 10 and under and 12 and under. And this year, we're actually running a cheer squad to coincide with that. So it's the first time we've ever done that. So if you have some girls that want to come out and just try it for the first time, and boys, of course, yeah. And so that, again, that'll be Pee-wee and 10 and under. So that'll be a pretty cool program we got going on. We don't have a gym, but with the basketball season, usually we'll practice and play games either at North Park or Azalea. It depends. We haven't set up the season yet. But I know we're going to practice at North Park, so it's not too far away. And then arts and crafts class every Tuesdays from 4 to 5. And then cooking and baking is Thursdays, 4 to 5. So we switch it up, usually go along with the seasons. We'll do ornaments, tree ornaments, stuff like that for Christmas. And then the last thing I was going to say is we have a Cookies with Santa event, and that is on December 17th from 12 to 2. And that coincides with our Toys for Tots program. So if any of you did that program through us, or even if you didn't, you can always come by, and we're gonna have Cookies with Santa, and games and crafts, and all kinds of stuff. So we're gonna get, all these programs are getting printed out this week, and I'm gonna just get it distributed to the entire school. And then I have some flyers that I'll leave you guys for the cheer, basketball, and Cookies with Santa. So that's pretty much the latest. Other than that, always come by, swing by, give us a call. We're always willing to help. And if you have any questions, let me know. If not, all right. Oh, yeah.
Cheer, when would that start, would you say?
It would start in the next couple weeks, December 17th, and then we're going to set up teams or our squad and then practice some games. So just come down. If you sign up, we'll just get your number and then call you from there. So.
How old is
Cheer is from 5 to 7 would be Pee-wee, and then 8 to 10. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Cool. Thank you, Caleb. All right, now, last month we had Joe Austin, the principal from Hoover High, and I told you that this month we have Dave Downey, who's the principal at Wilson Middle School. And so it's really important that we know, even if your children are in preschool or kinder, kind of what's their pathway along the way. And Wilson's doing a lot of awesome stuff, so I really want you to hear all about our neighborhood school, Wilson Elementary. Give it up for Dave Downey.
Well, good morning. Do any of you already have kids at Wilson? Any of you? A few of you. So I wanted to always come just like Joe. Sometimes we come in tandem, sometimes our schedule doesn't work that well. But I wanted to tell you a little about who I am. I've been at Wilson now for 5 years. I was there actually 20 years ago, believe it or not. Not as much gray then. As the vice principal for 3 years. I've been in the Mid-City corridor most of my career. I was at San Diego High, I was at Roosevelt, I was the principal at Central Elementary for 3.5 years, and I started as a teacher at Horace Mann Middle. If you haven't been over to Wilson, I really wanted to bring you a little visual, so I'm going to bring you through some of the resources that we have. Thank you so much. And I just really thank my 6 feeder elementaries because we try and reach out to the parents to let you know a little bit about who we are and what we have to offer. If you've never been over or you've driven by and wondered, that's Wilson Middle School and it's actually changing. This is the old Wilson. It's been there about 60 years. Starting in March of this year, we're going to have a complete rebuild of Wilson. So starting in March, if you drive by the school, oh perfect, you will see the construction start to happen. If you've ever been by Wilson and you know where the blacktop is, that's where the new school's gonna be. And as you go by Elkhorn Boulevard and you can look in the grass area, there is going to be a 500-seat Performing Arts Center, a brand new STEAM building for our robotics. You're going to have a brand new arts center. We're going to have all forms of the arts in there. And we're going to have a raised basketball court with all that parking that has been so difficult around Wilson. All the teachers and the parents at times will be able to park underneath there. It's going to be a 500-seat Performing Arts Center, so there's going to be a lot of activity that's going to be coming into the Mid-City to really do their performances, CYT, some of the acting, some of the musicians will be coming in there, and that'll be a part of what we're going to have to offer. We are Wilson School of the Tigers, and if you've gone over there or been on campus, you see a lot of the reflections of that as our mascot. Trying to bring you through and show you some of the campus. One of the unique pieces that we have to offer at Wilson is we're the only middle school in San Diego Unified that partners with Price Philanthropies. And our partnerships are numerous. This is one of them, which is School in the Park. You know Balboa Park, this is the theater there. We actually are able to take our 6th grade class in whole for 4 weeks, and they actually do School in the Park with their classroom teacher and museum educators. They are actually in the different museums. They go into 5 in their 6th grade year, and they go into a different set of 5 museums in their 7th grade year, including the zoo. These are not field trips. They're actually in the park. They're actually learning Common Core. All their math, science, history, and English are being done through the Common Core style. It's project-based. They actually, when they're in the Old Globe, perform at the end of the week. They actually are hands-on this is actually one of the things that we never see if we ever go to Balboa Park. These are some of the museum's educational rooms that are behind the scenes where the kids actually go there. Like I said, they go there first thing in the morning, they come back in the afternoon, they spend their time eating lunch, they have their free time during lunch in the park, but hands-on. So they do part of it behind the scenes in their classrooms, and the other half is right in the museums where they participate and go around, find artifacts, they do digs. Like I said, that is unique to our 6th and 7th grade. Price Philanthropies, also I know you have the Ocean Discovery here. Price Philanthropies also pays for and brings in the Salk Aquarium and the Birch Aquarium, Salk Institute and the Birch Aquarium, and our 7th and 8th grade actually work with the scientists and do their experiments. Our 2 coaches are these 2 right here. They're fantastic. And this is, it looks like a Charger game. They won a $60,000 grant from the Chargers, and we have a brand new $60,000 weight room that all of our kids participate in, and this is going right over to the new building when we get there. If you've never been in the middle school, they look a lot like the elementary school classrooms. We have all state-of-the-art. All of our kids, this is called a Logo computer. It's learning on the go. It is actually a yoga, brand new this year. Every one of our 6th grade, every one of our 7th grade, and every one of our 8th grade not only has these in the classroom, but they actually go home with them. They're checked out just like the textbooks. They bring them home throughout the whole year. So they have them over the winter break, they have them over the spring break. Our teachers do a lot of what's called flip teaching. They actually do the lessons right on the computers. The kids go home, will hear that lecture, will hear what they need to hear. They will actually do that work at home. You don't need to use the Wi-Fi because it's embedded in here. And then when they come back, the teacher already knows what the kids have learned, what they haven't learned, and they use it right in the classroom as well for all of their projects. We have two very, very wonderful web-based supports. We have something called Achieve 3000 that gives our teachers access to about 25,000 nonfiction texts, and it does it at the grade level that your child is reading at. And it's a great way to have a leveler. So if you have 8th graders, you may have some kids reading at the 5th grade level that need a couple years to make up. You may have some kids reading at the 10th grade level. The teacher will be able to go in there. Let's say they're doing some part of US history. They'll be able to find an article about that portion of US history and then download it right into your child's email address. Will be their reading level of that same article, so that every one of our kids are able to access that article and then bring the kids up to that grade level. So it's fantastic. In math, they have something called Buzz Math, and I say that because they will have access to those programs when they come home to you as well. This is one of our science classrooms. You can see the kids do a lot of interactive project-based. This is one of the museums that came in. I believe this was the Birch that came in. The kids were learning and then did some hands-on experiments with them. So when you go from 5th grade to 6th grade, something happens. You go to middle school, and in 5th grade, your child has one teacher. You're probably, if you're kinder up to 5th, you're dealing primarily with one teacher, maybe a prep time teacher. When you get into 6th grade, your children will have 2 teachers for their core and 1 for their elective. So they'll have a teacher that will do English and history, and then they'll go to another part of that family partnership, which will be doing math and science. So they'll have those 2 main teachers, English, history, math, science. Then they'll have an elective, and that elective can be supportive. Ms. McGrade may tell me that your children need some extra support in this area or that area. We have those support classes. We also have AVID, we also have government, and we have 2 main branches with some fabulous teachers, and one is in the computers. So we have a computer teacher, her name is Miss Pet Pease. She actually is the middle school teacher of the year and San Diego County teacher of the year. And she is the one that if you have kids or no families anywhere within the Hoover cluster, she has started and pushed the STEAM activity. She is the robotics lady. She is Miss Engineering. She has a real passion. She went to Wilson for our ladies to get into math and science and technology. For some reason, we see a big fall off from our females. She is passionate about that. She actually goes into the college and supports that. She has 2 full computer labs. One is from Project Lead the Way. They just came in and put an $80,000 grant into her works. And the beauty of Wilson is whether you choose either or, music or technology, you have the ability to do both. Because we have a fabulous, and I'll talk a little bit about it, our after-school programs. That if you have a child that's passionate about music and wants to be in band or to be in orchestra, we have a robotics program that runs after school from 3:30 to 6, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. We have some of our former students that are coming back from Wilson, and we were just hooking up this morning to get some of our students over here to Adams to help support your program as it gets going. So in that connection, she has connections all through the major scientific programs. This is actually Qualcomm, and our kids go there twice a year. They learn about all the fields having to do with Qualcomm. They actually participate in some of the engineering. Those kids are down there, those are actually robots that not only that they built, but then they actually program, and this feeds right into her program. By the way, just this past weekend, they came in first, and that includes first over high schools. Last year they came in second. The only school that trumped them was a high school team, and they just won this last weekend. This is BotBall. This is the after-school program. It's actually about 50 to 60 strong, so this was just one of the competitions. If you've never known what BotBall and the robotics side is there is a huge maze that every year they put out, a new maze. The kids then have to replicate the maze, and that's built right into one of our rooms. The kids get all the dimensions, they build the maze, and then in the maze, there are certain things that they make the robots actually do. And you can see lift a ball, knock a ball off, go through an obstacle course. And so they start from scratch. They have to see what the tasks are, then they have to decide what that robot would need to look like to be able to do those tasks. Then they need to program or write the code to the actual robot to make it go through that obstacle. And last but not least, be the one that does it the fastest. So there's multiple pieces. You can see here the kids are. We have a whole facility and all the parts where the kids are building them. Here is again that obstacle that was 2 years ago, I believe this one was. And they go and they compete at different times of the year. It usually comes up right about this time of the year. So this is one option. Another option is to actually do 3D programming in CAD. And so Pet actually, that's what we call her. Her name's Campet Peace, but we call her Pet. She has a number of things that she does with the kids. One of them is they actually write their own apps. They go onto the Android and to the iPhones. We had a student that wrote an app that would find the location of all the skate parks in the mid-city. Actually had that published and then was able to put that on all of them. The other is doing things in 3D. We actually have 2 3D printers. This was a young man that I use as an example that had an old chest at home that he could not get into, but he knew the configurations of the key. He was able to do in 3D on the computer a replication of that key. The 3D printer actually printed out the key, and now he has a hard plastic use of a key that he is actually able to get into his chest of drawers at home. We have a Science Olympiad. This is Mr. Will Carter. Every time, once a year, they go and compete in the Science Olympiad where they're actually building and competing. We had a picture of a boy that was doing aeronautics, and so he was building a plane. All the other students were still building that plane, and it was which plane actually flew the longest. We do, of course, have the science fair, and these kids are now, we actually pushed it up so they can compete citywide and nationally. Here's the other side of that coin. This is Mrs. Richardson. She runs a wonderful program. Both her and her husband are musicians. Again, this is an option for your child, but we also have options that they can be a part of music after school. She has a full band, full orchestra. They actually compete. This was at a halftime show at Hoover. They just did the Boo Parade down Oakland Boulevard, if you were a part of that. So they have a lot of opportunity to perform. They actually go, the orchestra goes up to Disneyland, and the band goes up to Knott's Berry Farm, and they actually perform live at the parks up there. If you've never been in Hoover, this is Hoover's gym, and we do a concert that goes for the entire cluster, one for band, one for orchestra. And then these are just a few pictures of the orchestra beginning in advance. So if your child has never had experience but would like to be in band or orchestra, we do have a beginning. And then we have, for those kids that become accomplished and stay with it in 7th and 8th grade, we actually have some of our 6th graders that are coming out of the elementary schools that are good enough to be in the advance. We actually are having a concert tonight. Here is some of the ways that they can be involved after school. We have a full drum line. We have a jazz band, and we have opportunities for a guitar club as well. We also have a choir, and here is some of our kids that have chosen to be in choir during the school, but we also run programs after school and perform in the evening, and these are full-blown productions. So this is our lunch court, and I show that, by the way, your kids have seen a little longer version of it. I was here a couple of weeks ago, and I go into all the elementaries and talk specifically to the 5th grade classes. I introduce their counselor. One of the nice features that we have is when your child comes to Wilson in the 6th grade, they will meet their 6th grade counselor, and that 6th grade counselor is there for them and for you throughout the time at Wilson. So they move up into the 7th grade with them, then they move on to the 8th grade with them, and then they rotate back and stay with that class the whole time. That way you have one point of contact that knows your child, that knows them through all of their school and middle school. I bring that up because that's a part of a whole package of supports that we have for you and for your child. We have a full-time nurse, we have a full-time social worker, we have 2 mental health clinicians that are on campus. We have tutoring before school, a full hour before school starts. We have tutors that are on campus, and then we have tutoring after school, something called a homework club, where you actually get a phone call home saying that your child needs to make up some extra work that they need done and need the help of the teacher. That runs from the end of school, which is just about the same as you have here. 3:36 is when we get out, to 4:30 they have that support help there. We also have a full run of sports programs that I'll show you in a second, but this is our lunch court. And the reason I show that is you will see during the school day a lot of kids, unlike here, when there's a little more control, when our kids come out into the lunch court, they have their option to eat lunch, and then from there they can do many things. Out over to this side, let's see if it's going to come. This is our field over here, which would be by that door over there. We have a full sports field, and if you ever go by there during lunch, you'll see soccer and basketball and football going on. Over here, by this door right here, is the library, and that's open through the lunches for our kids to go in there. And the entire lunch court is on Wi-Fi. So your child has their computers. A lot of our kids you'll see in the morning before school and at lunch doing their homework on their computers. And then after that, they can do all kinds of interactive games. I have 4 kids. I have 3 in college and 1 a senior in high school. And when they started hitting junior high, middle school time, I was always amazed because they would have their computer open, they would have their cell phone going, they would have their headphones, and my wife and I kept on having to go, "Are you getting stuff done over there?" Our kids are in a whole different place than when we were, and their ability to multitask and do games and get homework and listen to music, it's just amazing. And what we've tried to outfit them is for the next generation that we're going to go into. I talked to you about through our prime time. We don't have morning care, but we do have afternoon care that goes till 6 o'clock. All the sports that you could imagine, they play flag football all over the city. They transport them there. Same with basketball, same with soccer. We have the City Heights Runners. This is a husband and wife team that actually are coaches at Hoover. They pick up the kids and run all over the city. They have vans that they take them up into the mountains. They go to races up and down the coast. They go down to the beach and run. And last but not least, we have a lot of enrichment. We have a $60,000 art grant that we bring in special guests. This was a BMX Say No to Drugs. We had indication of the first cell phone in the world. These were actually the Chinese drummers, and they talked to them about back in the days in China, the villages were so far away that this is actually how they communicated. They would use the drums and the cadence and the different sounds of the drum to send messages to one another. So through that art grant, we infuse it not only into the classroom, but we bring a lot of enhancement and enrichment. The arts of lasers, the physics of skateboarding and why helmets are so important. Just bringing in things that the kids may not be exposed to but have the chance to go to. So, was that enough?
That was
I tried to give you enough to kind of get you in the door if you've never been over to Wilson. We have tours, you can go on our website, and also your children are going to be, if you have a 5th grader, they're going to be coming over to Wilson, and our parents are always welcome to join when they come on over. So with that, thank you for allowing me to share.
Do you have any questions?
I have a simple question.
Yes.
How many children attend Wilson?
We have actually grown, that's a great question. We've grown by 3 teachers since I've been there in the 5 years. We have 670 kids there right now. We were at about 580, and just with me reaching out, and I've really tried to come to parent forums, I can tell you, I was there, like I said, 20 years ago, and it was a very, very different school. Back in that day, I had 9 security people that were with me as a vice principal. I can tell you I have 1 now, and mainly what he does is go get kids because the parents are ready to take them home. If you have been there, I saw some head shakes. If you want to come in, you will see a wholly different school, and what we really are doing in the mid-city, and as we articulate to Hoover, because I think Joe probably talked to you about the advantages of getting into the university and all those supports. Matter of fact, the College Avenue Compact that would help your children as they got into college, I want you to know I have 2 people that are also part of Price Charities that are there for 2 reasons. One is to support all of our 2.0 to 3.0 students. They have tutoring, they meet with them regularly, help them prepare to go to high school and what their schedule needs to look like for those A to G requirements. The other person full-time there is directly there for you, the parents, to help you know what you need to do and all the hurdles that you need to go through and all the opportunities for scholarships to get your child into college. So those are 2 additional pieces that I didn't really go into because I assumed Joe went into that. But we have parts of that piece on our campus right now.
Other question? Yes.
Yeah, I have a special needs daughter. What kind of programs do they have for special needs?
We have the full continuum. Matter of fact, at Wilson, I have more than I've ever had at any of the schools, and I've been probably on 10. So we have 6 mild mod, we have 3 mod severe, and I actually have a medically fragile group of about 6 that's going to grow to about 9 students that literally are weak, wheelchair bound, and come from all over the district. We only have 2 of those facilities, so we have the full continuum that support kids that are mainstream all the way to the medically fragile.
And what are the hours?
Our hours are, we open our doors at 7 for the tutoring. We start at 8:25. We get out Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday, same time you do here, 3:36. And then Thursday is our modified day where I do all the PD for my teachers, and we're out at 1:30 on Thursday. Okay. Well, you're all welcome. Anytime, just stop by and ask for Mr. Downey, and if I'm not doing anything, I'll bring you all the way through. You can see all those programs that we have.
So I just want to say something. My son, he was supposed to be a grader, and I just want to say to the parents that it's a great school. You know, I like it. I went to Wilson. I'm class of 98. So I went to Wilson and I went to Hoover, and I never had any problems there. And you know, I like it because there's a lot of difference when I was in Wilson.
That's what I was gonna ask you. Because 20 years ago,
Yeah.
huge difference.
Yeah, and now
I've been like, yeah, Wilson, but you made it sound tantalizing.
yeah.
And that's what we want people to know. There's been a lot of work because of Mr. Downey, because of our Hoover Cluster relationships.
And they
We're,
have the Saturday, you know, the Saturday school. So
Yes.
my son missed a day. He doesn't really miss school when I have to take him to the doctor. But, you know, they have the Saturday school, so he gets to pick up, you know, the work that
That's true.
So, I mean, I like it, and I know some parents, they say, oh, your son goes to Wilson, oh my God, you know, it's a bad school. I remember, to me, it's a great school. Even when I went, it was, you know, it was really good, but, you know, still, I liked it. I never had any problems, you know.
So I'm embarrassed to ask you, because I think I was there. Was I your VP then?
No.
Okay, good. No, really. I was there right about that time.
My
So.
wife was in here.
I was?
Oh my God.
Okay, here you go.
Yeah, but I mean, I like it. My son is happy, so it makes me happy. So.
And any of
That's
you know,
awesome.
if I had
Thank you
brought
for
my
sharing.
vice principal, my vice principal has been there about 23 years, and he's been the vice principal, and usually when he asks, we will have in our auditorium for back to school night 2 and 3 generations of families. So I know that many of you remember what it used to be, and I used to hate dismissal because I would be outside breaking up whatever was going on. And honest to goodness, when I was I've been at 3 other middle schools. I've been at Roosevelt, I've been at Pacific Beach, I've been at Foster Elementary. This campus is calmer now than any of those other middle schools. You have the normal, they're reaching puberty. There's all kinds of stuff going on. And it is a middle school, but by and far, come on in and you'll be amazed.
Yeah, I like it.
So thank you for those.
Nice, thank you for sharing.
When
Yes.
is that building gonna be done? Like that construction, you said starting.
If, you know how construction goes, if it goes as it's supposed to, and right now, we've already been in a 2-year process of design. Your incoming, some underground gas line, non-pressurized, but they've wanted to get out of that area for a long time. It will remain 2 separate schools. It will not be a K-8. It will be central with the clinic and everything there. We'll have the full Wilson from really the field all the way over. And then there's some rumor, don't hold me to it, that they're going to put the Ed Center where Central is. So that's the grand plan. But our hope is, right now, our incoming 6th graders will see the inside of those buildings before they leave.
Nice.
Okay?
Anything else? All right, thank you, Dave, that was awesome. All right, so I'm going to have these ladies come on and do their quick presentation, and I apologize because we talked so long ago that it totally spaced, so I'm going to let you explain it all.
Good morning. I'm Dr. Susan Taper from University of California, San Diego, and this is Dr. Alejandra Infante from University of California, San Diego. And we wanted to share with you an exciting research opportunity. So the brain is developing a lot from childhood through adolescence. Yo voy a ayudar a la doctora Taper a traducir, bueno, que habla en español. Como saben, el desarrollo del cerebro va por muchos cambios entre la niñez y la adolescencia. University of California, San Diego is very fortunate to have received a $30 million grant to study adolescent brain development. La Universidad de California, San Diego, tenemos mucha suerte que han recibido un grant del Estado de $30 millones para estudiar el desarrollo de cómo se desarrolla el cerebro en la adolescencia. And Adams has been selected as one of the schools to participate in this study, to have this opportunity. Y el elementary school de Adams ha sido seleccionado y tiene la oportunidad de que sus niños participen en este estudio. How many of you have a 9 or 10-year-old child? Okay. Perfect. Almost 9. That's great. We have a special opportunity for you guys. ¿Cuántos tienen niños entre las edades de 9 o 10 años? Y tenemos oportunidades. So you and your child can come to UCSD for a total of about 7 hours. We compensate you $300 for your participation. We can give you transportation, and your child has a pretty fun time participating in the research study. Para los que están interesados en este estudio, pueden venir, les compensamos con $300 y requiere que el niño y el padre participen aproximadamente como 7 horas en total. Y en verdad, yo lo he hecho, a los niños les encanta, es divertido y a todos los niños que hemos visto hasta ahora nos han dicho que están muy contentos, y igual que los padres. We make it as fun as possible for the kids. We give them toys along the ways. They get snacks, and they get a lovely t-shirt, such as the one Sarah is wearing here. And then you guys are compensated for your time, and of course we can provide transportation, no problem. Como decía, los niños la pasan muy bien, les damos premios, les damos snacks, podemos proveer transporte para las familias que realmente tienen dificultad de ir a la universidad. También les damos los niños les damos una foto de su cerebro cuando participan en el MRI. So we give them a picture of their brain. I think kids really like that. It's kind of cool. Y sí, siempre la pasamos súper bien. So if you're looking to earn a little bit of extra holiday spending money, we have a few slots available in December, including during the week, because December 19th, of course, is winter break, and so if you have a little bit of time and you'd like to earn $300, we will talk to you right now and set you up if you're interested. Tenemos una excelente oportunidad que vamos a estar abiertos durante las vacaciones de invierno y en verdad es una super oportunidad, los slots se llenan rápido como comprenderán y si están interesados hablen con nosotros para poder arreglar algo. If you would like us to take your name and number, if you just raise your hand, Sarah can come by and take your information. And Dr. Infante and I will be right over there in case you have any questions at all about the study, what being in the study means, and we have some brochures. Si están interesados, levanten su mano y Sara va a ir a recoger su información para poderlos contactar. La doctora Taper y yo vamos a estar acá en esta mesa y también tenemos flyers y para contestar preguntas y cualquier duda que tengan de eso. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you. Okay, now let's get this up.
Just this little arrow there. On that little symbol there. Egypt. Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, back to life.
All right, so gonna go really quickly through some of this. Now, you know, in our nation, we've had lots of talk about the elections and all of that, and we're certainly not going to get into that. But we are going to talk about, we had a great election at on our campus. These were some of the, can I ask you a favor? Can you drop the light again? Thanks. These were some of the cute posters that some of the kids did for their elections. They got up there and campaigned, and they did their little speeches. It was just so awesome. And the thing that was fun, these were all of the kids that ran for student council. The thing that was so fun, when I very first got here and did student council for the first time, I remember gathering them all and saying, okay, read your speech to me. I want to hear how it sounds, and kind of helping them. And I would be like, oh my gosh, honey, we need a little more content in that. And I was like writing everybody's speeches and trying to help them. This time, this group of amazing kids walked in, prepared with their speech, ready to present it, and all I did was help them with some of the body language and the presentation skills. So that just shows how far we've come in terms of our students' confidence and the learning that they've had over the last few years. And it was just super, super exciting to see that transformation. So here they are, very serious. Here they are, very silly. And then these are our 4 student council officers that were elected. So we have Jorge Cortez is our let's start with Quincy. Quincy Ananyo Turner is our fire marshal. Jorge Cortez on the end is our secretary. And then look at that, 2 women are the vice president and the president. Diana Gonzalez is the vice president, and Shalina McCoy, awesome. But just have to say a little bit about Shalina. When I first met her, she was so shy. She could hardly say a word, and she is up there campaigning, talking in class. It's just amazing. Another wonderful transformation. So we have our first meeting today, and then next week we'll have a meeting with representatives from all the classrooms, and then we'll have them start participating in different activities, leadership activities throughout the year. Oops, I just wanted to say that I love that in the morning we try to start every morning with our walk and talk. The kids now know the routine and they just start walking, get some fresh air, get some energy out. And I cracked up because I walked out there like my mind on a million things. Gotta get to the kids, walked out there, and here's these guys doing a mannequin challenge. And I kind of like looked, like it took me a little while, like, what are they doing? And all of a sudden I'm like, oh my gosh, do it again, I gotta take a picture. So I just love the spontaneity that the kids do and that the teachers go right in with them. Look at all the kids that were at perfect attendance extra recess last month. We have our another one not this Friday, the next Friday, so please make sure your kids, it's a short month. We should have everybody out there. I know some things are going around that are making kids sick. I've had a lot of staff members that have been out, so I get it. If you're sick, you need to stay home and get better. But if you're, no other reason unless you're sick. All right, I wanted to let you know some things that were happening in our 5th grade class. So our kids are getting more sophisticated. They've been together since they were little, 1st grade, kindergarten, some of them even from preschool. And after a while, that dynamic and they're growing up. They've got 1 foot in middle school with Mr. Downey, but they're still good babies for us, right? I want to hold on to them as long as we can. But there's been some mean stuff going on. Kids talking about each other, just some things happening across the 5th grade class. So Mr. Flynn and I, as well as talking to Mr. Cortez, as well as talking to our counselor, Ms. Stillwell, as well as talking to Officer Diaz, our community service officer, even talked to the music teacher, saying we've got to wrap our arms around these kids. I feel like I don't have them for very much longer. They're going to go off to middle school, and I want them to go off with skills on how to handle those sticky situations when kids start to be mean to each other. So we've been starting some anti-bullying lessons. Their kind of motto or whatever is stop the drama. So I teased them and said, okay, we're going to be all hashtag stop the drama. And so we've also started something called restorative justice circles. I love this quote where it says, justice requires that we work to restore those who have been injured, rather than just a punitive, you did this, you're suspended. Doesn't mean I don't still have to do that at times, but it doesn't really get to the root of the problem. And so Mr. Flynn and I did a little quick research and we just got it going. So we have the kids all in a circle. He has this really cool talking stick, and we go around and we each share different ideas about different things, sometimes things that aren't really hard to talk about. Like yesterday's was, if you could be any animal, what would you be and why? And then he changed it up to, if you could have a second chance, tell us what it would be and why. And so that second chance one really opened up a lot of deeper feelings with a lot of the kids. And so it started kind of peeling back the layers and the levels of honesty with one another. So I just felt like it was important for parents to know as well that we're try to do body, mind, and self-confidence, right? With academics, with the mind, and really pushing the reading, the writing, the math, but then it's also that social emotional part that you can't really learn if you don't feel like you're in a safe place. And so really addressing those issues as well. With the body, we still have our impact project that's out on the playground, that little circuit training that they do. We've got dance for everybody, and so trying to keep things active. So I always think about body, mind, and self-confidence. So social, emotional as well. Thank you for all of you coming to our parent-teacher conferences last month. I think I have to figure out the last percentages, but we're in like the 98% of our parents came to teacher conferences, and that is just awesome. So give yourselves a clap. Thank you, thank you. If for some reason you didn't get a chance to, it's not too late. Give your teacher a call and get that meeting set up. We really expect 100% of our families to be able to have that conference with their child's teacher. And then last week was my turn. So I had conferences with every single one of my teachers. And we went through every single one of my students and go through to see who needs what and how we're going to do some intervention and where, who's making good progress and what kinds of things do we want to do. Do we want to rec them to Project Impact, which is another social emotional project that we have, that if anybody's interested, if you have a child that you feel is having some difficulties socially in some way, we can set you up with the counseling interns that we have as well. And so that was my time to kind of just see how everybody's doing and what we can do to support them. I also want something that's very important in those meetings that we've talked about were our students that are English learners. We have about 100 and, I wrote this down last night, now I forget. We're about 48% English language learners, and we want to make sure that parents' voice is heard for their progress, to make sure that their progress is being met. And so we're going to have our first meeting on January 12th at 9 o'clock. Some of you volunteered to be on that committee, and so I'm going to have your names on a ballot. When we get back from the break, you'll see a ballot, and student or parents of English learners will get to vote, but everybody is welcome to come. And we're going to look at some of the requirements that we have for ELAC, English Learner Advisory Committee, but then there's also another forum to say, how can we improve our school? I want to hear from a parent's perspective. So please mark your calendars, and we'll get more information at our next Family Wednesday. This Friday is the Jingle Jam. Please, everybody come. It's a really fun night. There'll be food for purchase. It's only $2 a person. We're going to have a DJ. We're going to have lots of food and different games. What else? What else are we having?
We're gonna have limbo. And we're gonna have
Limbo,
chairs,
musical chairs.
dance contest.
Yes.
Encourage the parents to dance with your children.
Yes.
Years ago, my daughter drugged me to this thing. I was like, we're gonna be here for 45 minutes. It was the funniest 2 hours I had at the school. I literally laughed, and to where I'm now running. So that makes a big difference.
Yes.
I'm selfish with our Friday night.
So very many thanks to Chantilly for heading off the whole Jingle Jam, and Tracy for helping out, and Drina. It's like these core people, Miss Lonnie, all these core people who are here who really make a big difference for our kids. Miss Lonnie.
Don't forget the raffle.
You talking about the raffle for this?
Raffle there. For the jingle.
Oh, and we're going to do a raffle this year. We're going to have a raffle that with some special holiday prizes, and if you're interested in that, we'll have a raffle there as well. I think $1 a ticket, Miss Lonnie? All right, that's going to be fun. Please, please come. All right, and then the fun just does not stop at Adams Elementary, because the following Tuesday is our Family Science Night. This is a grant that we received from United Way, and they're paying for the whole thing. So it's free for you to come in, bring your families. There'll be 10 little stations set up with these cool physics, different experiments. The kids love it, and so do you as a parent. It's just fascinating stuff. So please come on Tuesday, also at 6 o'clock. We hope to have a full house. All right, now we have, remember how Mr. Downey was talking about robotics at Wilson? We have robotics here at Adams to help them get ready for Wilson, and just because it's such an important part of engineering and that critical thinking. I have Mike Palmer. I persuaded him to help us out, and he already went to one training last month, and so he's going to talk to you really quickly about what our process is going to be. This is for upper grade kids.
I think the slide's got flip-flop. Can you try the second one?
I sure can.
The same one?
No, it's not going.
Okay, well, anyway, Dave was showing you earlier the bot ball challenges
Here it is.
that they do at the middle school at Wilson, and that was a perfect primer. I was going to show you this later on, but I think it's a lot easier now that you saw it in action. So this guy is the actual robot that the kids will be using, and it's got wheels on the front here with motors, and this is a claw right there. And the cool thing is, actually, I was holding it upside down. This is a touchscreen computer that goes right on the top of it. And this touchscreen computer has its own Wi-Fi and its own web server, so kids can connect to it and actually code in real time on the computer and tell the robot to do things. So the really cool cool things that they'll be learning. One, they'll be learning robotics, I would hope so, computer programming, and this is running in C. This is big boy code. This isn't some silly code that they came up with just for kids. This is the same code that they make programs for actual applications on your computer. Also designing circuits, learning about motors and sensors, and the people who created these things were pretty smart. They put in actual micro switches that you would find in arcade components, little push buttons on an arcade console all the way back from the 70s, so lots of cheap, affordable parts, but really intelligently designed. So they'll learn about engineering, problem solving, and teamwork, all really good things, and actually prep themselves for Wilson. So next week on Wednesday, we're going to do some demonstrations during the classes. We'll have all 3rd, 4th, and 5th who are eligible to be part of this after-school club go through and have a demonstration, be able to do hands-on coding and change the code and make the robot do different things. And then permission slips will go home that day for you guys to check it out. And we'll be kicking this off early January, most likely probably the 2nd week. Sylvia and I are figuring out with middle school and high school what day of the week would work best, so some of the big kids can come over and show them what they do and mentor them.
Yeah.
That's about it, really.
Yeah, good. Thank you, Mike. Appreciate it so much. All right, so just wanted to let you know, one day San Diego PD came into my office and said that there are families that are parking in the red zone on School Street. I know it's really crazy with parking here, but I just don't want anybody to get a ticket. So he asked me to please relay the message to you that be really careful that you're not parking in the red. That's actually like a fire zone, so God forbid there was some need for the fire truck to get through and then all these cars are blocking the pathway. So please be careful. Look out for the safety of our children. Like us on Facebook. So I try my best to take pictures of things and put them on Facebook. I know that Cindy always responds. So I want to make sure that everybody knows that, and if you're a Facebook person, to like us so that you can get information. I also want to know, are you into Twitter? Should I start doing something on Twitter, or is Facebook enough?
You might want to wait a minute because Twitter's going down the tubes and Gab is coming out. So put that on.
I'm just going to stay on Facebook then. But so like us and so you can always get the latest information. Remember that January 3rd is our coming back day. Make sure kids are back here for the new year. Our winter vacation will be December 16th through January, it's actually December 17th, sorry. 16th we're here at school, the 17th will begin the vacation, and January 2nd is our last day of vacation. Most important date there is January 3rd is the first day of school back in 2017.